there. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, good morning to those of you who are in England. It's 1 minute past midnight there. Welcome to Politics 101. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's traditional. It's traditional, as the trade winds would say. Friday night, the beginning of the weekend. It's used to be payday back in the day. I think it still is. A Friday still holds a special place on the weekly calendar whenever I'm in Guyana, um, which is relatively often. Um, there's still that Friday ring. That's the day, you gotta go and get your sauce and get my black pudding and all that good stuff, you know. Um, it's Friday still. It's still a special day. There are some things that have changed, but I think some things remain relatively constant. Good evening to you in Guyana. Good evening, Marcel. They're in Buxton. Good evening, Jacqueline. They're my people that I get my stuff from. Um, Jacqueline is my neighbor going way back, and I I get my stuff there on Friday afternoon. And Marcel, good evening to you. Good evening to all the Buxtonians who are joining us here. And I know you're many, and you all berate me sometimes from forgetting to give you all a special shout out. Good evening to all of you. All the good people there in West Berbice, my favorite part of Guyana. You all Buxtonians don't get jealous, but West Berbice is. Good evening to all of you. Brenda Casey, I notice, is very, very early with us. Brenda is a trooper, I mean, they got some people in this revolution that we're having here in the last 3 years, this media revolution, and that extend beyond the media. It's really a grassroots revolution where we bring people together every evening. There's some people who are the heroes and heroines because you all made it happen. You all, and Brenda is one of those persons, and you all do it. You all leave here, you all go over to Sherrod Duncan, then you all go and do Mark in the morning, you all do Kidaki, and then you do Rick Ford, you do some of the shows I'm forgetting. Really, and Brenda is one of those persons. Raquel Gentle, my country woman, what you all young people call it now? One of my besties, Raquel. Them is what you call them, colored people. Yes, our grandfather, colored. That was a hell of a man, I noticed Bumba is on. Bumba, you remember colored? It's colored granddaughter, Raquel. Rocky. Oh boy. Good evening to all of you. It's and thanks to all of you who commended us for last night's show with Vincent Alexander. A lot of feedback we got from that program. My friends from Annandale, I didn't know there were so many Annandale people on the show who said it was good to hear us talk about them. And this is what is important for me. Important for me as someone who comes out of the bowels of the working class, the bowels of the village. And guest tonight is Dr. Vince Adams, and he and I, come from similar background as all of us. as Rex Netterford would say, all of us come out of what the Jamaicans call the Cape Peace and what we call the villages. It's just that some of us left a little bit earlier than others, but all of us come from there. And you go back as I do relatively often, and you're there in the village, and the younger people in their 20s and 30s, they know somebody like me on the TV. The man from the village on the TV, but their parents and grandparents didn't know me on no TV. They know me in boxing, as they would say. And you go back there and you look at those people and you say, but they're right. You used to be here. You didn't born on the TV, but you're on the TV now, and you have to use the TV to give those people, the academics now call it agency, right? Agency, but to give those people a sense of worth, a sense of feeling that, they say to me that when they see me, they see themselves, because I still speak like them, as one of the big ladies from the village, she said she just like when I do so. Because she see me, I grew up as a little boy in the village always doing this. And for her, when she watched the program, she always watching to see when I do that, because I grew up doing that. Good evening, Ozia, my brother from South Carolina. Ozia Morgan, a real brother. Real, true brother. He has become very, very close to us, and always there. When Brother Kadaki was in United States recently for the conference, and thereon, he was with him foot and foot, as we say, doing it. Good evening to all of you. If I don't call your name, it is not because I don't cherish you. My friend from New Amsterdam the other night, who, like I said, had something to do with the naming of this program. I came up with the name Politics 101, but I shoot it, as they say, to a couple of people to ask what they think. Somebody's saying no audio. Is that true? Somebody's saying no audio. Winston is saying no audio. Are we having an audio problem? I hope not. Y'all let me know. It doesn't seem so. Winston. It doesn't seem so. Yeah, but I was talking about shooting the name to some friends, and one of the friends is my friend, one of my friends from New Amsterdam, Alexis. And she was on the other night, and I said 6 Alexis, and she gave me a tongue beating after the program. Good evening, Alexis Rodney. Good evening to you from New Amsterdam, one of my good friends and someone who contributes to our program. Good evening to you. Hello to everyone. Please share the link. Please, I can't do the share thing. Share the damn link, man. If I say it, I'm going to share it, say it like a tongue by. Share the damn link, man. And as a contributor, I would say, share the bloody link. Wonderful. So it's good to see everyone tonight. Ingrid King, if it's Ingrid King from Buxton, good evening to you. If you're not from Buxton, still good evening to you, Ingrid King. She's hearing us loud and clear. I don't know. We'll share up this name, Ingrid King, who lives in Canada via Buxton. There might be so many other Ingrid King. Good evening, Ingrid. Annette Cummins is here religiously. Donna Joseph, religiously. We love you all because we say you are part of this revolution. And it's indeed a revolution. because we are transforming the way we communicate politically. You're transforming the way we communicate politically. And it's nice that we bring everyone along with us. Everyone along with us. This Ingrid is from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York. Well, Buxton people, you all hear talk about Buxton and Annandale? Well, here what do they say in Buxton? When you're going to Brooklyn, they say Buxton and Brooklyn is like Buxton and Annandale. It's going to Brooklyn like you left in Buxton and going to Annandale. Good evening to all of you and all you people from Annandale who contacted me and said thanks for talking about Annandale, talking about the Congo people. Congo Creole, as they call themselves, you know, and correcting people who were talking about Creoles as though Creoles is just red-skinned, middle-class people, you know, they're talking about mixed people. And we always had Creoles, Creole, working-class Creole, black people Creole, the mixing of the Koromantis with the Yorubas and the Yorubas with the Congos and the Congos with the Mandingos and the Mandingos with the Ashanti, and you're mixing up. That's Creolization. So when the people from Annandale said them a Congo Creole, and they were glad that I remember that song. The Changi, oh, you do, girl. Lynette, she said, she doesn't know. I know you don't know me. Lynette Greenwood, you don't know. And we didn't know was because she gets your fancy name. we know them as Changi or Chifoon in Annandale, and great friends. And she came when we were there in Washington. She said, me know, you don't know me. And good evening, Lynette Changi, and they were so glad to hear me talk about the Congo Creole, and you know that song that they sing when Congo people dead, you know, Congo Creole, see them a go away, one be one, Congo Creole, one be one, see them a go away. That's Annandale people, Congo. We in Buxton, I say, you know, she bondlo and go away, bayungo, Aishi bondlo and go away. And the Congo, they say, Congo Creole, one be one. See them go away. They also go away. Because them go away Africa. And we had a man in Buxton named Jan Gowe. I know you all didn't know I was so deep into the folk thing. Thanks to a man named A.U.C. Guyana. I can't done saying thanks to that man. You didn't only read book. You have to be an all-rounder. You have to be a Gary Sobers. You're doing anything and everything. Yes. I will say, you know, ice your bundle and go where, you know, and Congo people say, you know, Congo Creole, see them a go away, one by one. As I would tell my students when I'm teaching that, one by one mean one by one. The creolization of the language. Aubrey Paul at Swank. When all we drinking with lime water with ice, Aubrey said, no, he want the own. He want the own. I love you too, Lynette. I love you too, darling. I can't sing all them Congo songs because some of them worthless, you know. Lilo, mother. I can't sing all the Congo songs here tonight, girl. But I gotta get Mboya and them to come on here at night and let me do some of this thing. All right, we are ready. Dennis Booker, please leave me alone. Good evening to you, officer. Officer, good evening. And how are you? And Aubrey Paul telling me, remember the Casa days. Well, of course, why would I not remember the Casa days? I was one of the cook in the casa. Everybody had a job. Some people had to make up bed. Some people got cooked. Some people got clean. And so on. In the casa. You all Buxtonians and Annandale people, you come out plenty tonight. Let's bring in our doctor tonight, our doctor, you know. You all know you all don't make joke with a doctor thing, you know. When people come from outside the village and they say, Mr. Hines, them guys say, no, it's Dr. Hines. And people say, well, you all not call him doctor. Say, no, we just call him Dr. Twilly. Hey, Lord. It is. I'm always in a nice mood, but tonight is Friday night. And I talk about the sauce and the black pudding and the fish cake and all of that story and thing. But you also got to get your little tooks. The beers got to flow, you know. And, you know, when you get big people like I said, don't drink the beer, your belly get more big. So you gone to the hard stuff. A Big Red are coming soon. And coming very soon, because Big Red is me washed down. You see, Big Red live at Sideline Dam in between Buxton and Annandale. So when you go in or you're coming out, you stop at Big Red. And Big Red is open till Big Red, I won't tell them, but you're late night. You're late night. Good evening to all of you wonderful people. Don the doctor. Dr. Adams used to stop at you place and buy cook up rice. He cook up, and no, Dan, you cook up rice, don't put in basin and tap off and then throw over. You cook up rice, just dish out. Oh my goodness. Hey, Dr. Adams, good night. You remember how they used to sell a cook up rice? They put it in a basin.
How you mean? That's right. Here, some of them has got a little cup. They turn the cup. You remember? Dr. I remember when we used to go, you know, me and them little boys, when they come to town for go to school from Albaistown, so we'd go all the way Metropolitan. When we coming home, they had a man with a big pot of cook up side the road. Here, but you know, you talk about black pudding and them things. It brings back some memory up in Christianborg. You know, they had this lady, I mean, it's the best black pudding ever in the world. A lady named Miss Betty. And Friday night and Saturday night, if you see the line, you got to go early. And she got, you know, them little door is open halfway. You stand up there, you're there in a line. And if you don't catch the first spot, you got to wait till the second part. And then, but here's the other part, so. And then up right not too far away, guess is the best Marby and square cake. That was Aubrey Norton father. Yeah, Aubrey Norton father had the. I tell Aubrey, I said, you know, Aubrey, I asked if he get the recipe for that square cake. He didn't have to be in politics.
Exactly.
Here, but that time, I know Aubrey's gonna kill me for this. You know, of course, in Linden, the whole of Linden and Christianborg and Emery, you couldn't be no PPP person. And guess who was probably the only PPP person in Linden? Aubrey Fado.
Yes. Yes. And when WPA come on the scene, he crossed over to WPA. Aubrey was telling me. And it's interesting, Aubrey's a dead PNC man.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, welcome to all of you.
But you know, Dr. Hines, you know, when you look back, you know, like Christianborg, where the only thing that we had of value, people say we had of value, was the Belgram. And would you believe that 2 out of 5 of the lifetime leaders of the PNC, 2 out of 5 came from Christianborg, Aubrey Norton and Robert Corbin.
Yes.
And you know what's interesting? They lived in the same alley in the 2 houses right next to each other.
Wow.
A place where you don't think that anybody good could come out. All 3 we grew up in them alley down Christianborg there, boy.
There you go. And you see that, Tommy, you good can come out.
Yeah.
You know, and you look back, my brother, you look back on those days and you look back at those women and men and brothers, children, and so on. And how they, in a sense, prepared us.
Yeah.
You know? They
Yeah.
prepared us. They prepared us, and that is why they don't play. If you get big, as they say, and then you turn up your nose in the air, like you forget where you come from,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so on and so on. It's really a big
Yeah,
deal,
man.
as I say, and I am so thankful that people who are tuning into this program and other programs thank us for talking about them, because one of the greatest things about political independence for us in Guyana and the Caribbean, it was about seeing ourselves
Yeah.
in positions of power, seeing ourselves as the commissioner of police, seeing the headmaster as for seeing the priest, as seeing the prime minister and the minister as people like ourselves.
Yes.
Thanks. Again, we say thanks. Thanks for all that you all have done and all that you all continue to do. Because nowhere in the world, and I've traveled a few places, but I think Guyana is one of the places in which ordinary folk are so jealous about their own leaders. They protect us to this day. Even when we are doing things that they're not so, in agreement with, they are so protective of us, especially those of us who come from their bowels.
Yeah.
They're protective. It's well known in the village that I go to funerals. I try to go so many funerals. I was making the point the other day when I was home there for 4 months. I ran out of funeral clothes because so much people from Boston died. I ran out of funeral. I started recycling. But for me, going to those funerals is a way of getting to talk to especially big people. My old teachers, the big people who used to sell and so on. And invariably, I tell you, Doc, they come in your ears close and they whisper that advice. I like
But
what you said.
but you know what's so ironic about funerals is that's where you meet people that you hadn't met in donkey years.
Exactly.
So when you go to them funeral, I mean, that's not the place that you want to meet up after that long. But the amount of people that that you see these funerals, that's the one thing, when you think about it, the people make funerals their priority.
Yeah.
To attend funerals, whether you're old, young, I mean, everybody wants to go to a funeral. So, when you go there, you meet so many people that you can socialize with that you hadn't seen for ages.
Yes. Good evening to you, Rhonda Lane. Well, Rhonda is a more celebrity than me and Doctor. Rhonda is a celebrity. Rhonda, good evening. Then I'm still in the house, a place that I know well. I have relatives there. The Griffiths from Denamstel, and I used to spend time there. They used to spend time in Buxton during the August holidays. You go there, and I remember in those days, you go to the Denamstel, when you come back, you resemble Jamun. Over the line, they had a Jamun farm there, Jamun, and you eat Jamun, oh God. So you go back to Buxton, you resemble Jamun. But I had good times there in Denamstel, and it's still one of my favorite places. And you're all gonna say that, then you just say your favorite is West Coast. Doc, well, Mr. Jagdeo continues to defy gravity. He was a scientist, so he continues to defy gravity. And he was at it again yesterday.
Yep.
Talk to us.
Every time I believe that I've heard everything that you can hear coming out to this chap mouth, now I get to realize that there is no depth of shamelessness and where this guy would go There's just absolutely none. This last press conference of yesterday, it was just unbelievable. And I don't know what he drank yesterday, but the amount of things that came out of there, that you would think that these issues, that if I was in issues, I would have been hiding someplace. Don't want them to come up. For example, he started out by of course, blaming. What did he call them? He called them these fringe elements. And he started calling names, Well, I couldn't remember if he called your name, but I know he called, of course, the first name he always
Rick
called
Ford.
is Rick Ford, and Sherrod, and Ben Schaff, and those type of guys that he says, oh, they're just here's the exact word he said. Oh, those fringe elements trying to chisel away at the national solidarity. Well, here is this guy, which, like I said, has no shame. And this is sheer depravity as far as this guy is concerned. This guy, of course, the opposition and the government met, big photo ops and everything, and made a commitment. We all going to be one here. Politics stops at the board and all this kind of fun. This man go and meet with these Venezuelans, had a secret meeting with these Venezuelans, and then throw out a video. And the video is saying basically, well, that the opposition hates them. And while the PPP loves them. I mean, that's the most egregious thing. And how the opposition is causing all this xenophobic acts against them. Well, of course, another video came out from our great, brilliant MP, Amanzo Walton, which was really brilliant. And I would recommend that everybody go look at that video. And what she's asking, she's asking, which is a very simple question. Okay, if you say that we're gonna have to be unified, and we've got national solidarity, it's got to be solidarity all of the way. Why are you going to meet when you're going to meet with this secret meeting? Why didn't you invite us? Well, now it's becoming clear as to why he wouldn't invite us. But here's this guy. How could you trust somebody like this? So Amanza has asked, okay. Then she sent a letter, official letter, according to her video, to Mr. Todd, the foreign minister, to say, okay, if that meeting did that meeting occur, and if it occurred, we would like to see the transcript of that meeting. And if that meeting occurred, did it occur? Was it a government meeting, or this was just this Jagdeo kind of a meeting? So this is what this guy has done. And then he is saying, he comes up with this thing, well, even these fringe elements are taking the videos somehow. He's saying that they're misrepresenting his videos. And he must, he's saying that they're misrepresenting. I mean, this here is just a gift that is a playbook of Putin or somebody. It's just, is he believe that we're stupid, that what we're seeing, we're really not seeing. This man is in a video. Obviously, everybody has seen it, and he's trying to I guess, wash it away, where he wants to have a compromise in allowing Venezuela, give them a path to the Atlantic. And when that video play, he's basically saying that we're all taking this video out of context. There's also that video. This man could not believe that this man went to talk about renegotiations last night. And here's another video that when he's in Parliament, when he was in opposition, saying that for every new barrel of oil that is discovered, every Guyanese ought to be sad. And how the government has taken away the patrimony of the nation, and they will renegotiate when they get into office. So these are the kinds of things. But he went further than that in this press conference. The man is now taking his eyes and pass our great and honorable senators and congressmen from the United States. You know, the guy says, here's what he says. Of course, you know, this is getting under his skin. He said on the fact-finding mission, he's now questioning the credibility, he used the word credit, of the U.S. fact-finding mission. He said the fact-finding mission they should do is to fact-find the person who headed the meeting in D.C., which is Rick Ford.
Yeah.
Listen to this now, Dr. Hines. This man, I mean, he's really getting rude and obnoxious and disrespectful. He says Guyana is a more integrated country than the United States of America and would find more cases of discrimination in America than Guyana and states where these people are coming from. They should start in the United States and then come here afterward. I mean, that's the kind of language that this guy, of total disrespect, that this guy is indulging in. You know, I think this banner, I think is off the rockers.
Yes,
You know?
Dr. Adams, I want to pin you down on two issues that came out of that press conference. And the first issue is the issue of the opposition asking the government for data on the number of Venezuelans in the country as a requirement for the two sides holding one head on the Venezuela thing.
Yes.
And that when they showed up at the sectoral committee in the National Assembly, they did not come with that information, although that was part of it. The first thing is that, as usually, we beat up on we leader and said they went there, they didn't ask for nothing, you know? And apparently that was not so. One of the things they said is that a condition for us going forward, give us the official data that you have on the number of Venezuelans here. They didn't come up with that data. The National Assembly was supposed to meet today. They had to postpone it because the opposition stood their ground. Now, you didn't turn up with the information on how many Venezuelans are here, but you are going and meeting with Venezuelans and telling them the opposition don't like them. Now, why, in your estimation, they have decided they're not going to release that data on the number of Venezuelans here?
You know, well, let's start with their real objective. I mean, all this stuff is just, and which is what I told my political colleagues from day one after that meeting. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. However, I told them I do not expect that these folks are going to carry through with what they're promising. This here is just a gimmick for popular support, and they know their whole objective. This here is about, we all know what this is about, is to have these people come in and to have them vote for that party and to make that difference that they can stay in power. I mean, it's clear, even in his press conference yesterday, it was very clear this man was making a case. You would think that he's their lawyer. He was deciphering who Guyanese. The man even went so far, Dr. Hines, to compare the Venezuelans who were coming over here with the Guyanese who migrated, several years ago, saying that, these were because of economic circumstance, when Guyanese left the shores of Guyana, because there was no food and because of the oppression. Of course, he's talking about the previous government.
Yes.
But the thing is, he's not smart enough to even know what he's saying. So immediately when I heard it, I said, well, yes, people like me and Dr. Hines and all of us left, yes, but we went there, we supported our families back by remittance back home. But there was a reason for us to leave, because we were one of the poorest countries in the world. We didn't have oil. So there was a reason, a legitimate reason. Now we're supposed to be the richest country, but people are living in bigger droves. So how the heck is he going to explain that? That he's governing a country where we're the richest country in the world, but people are still leaving. But going back to your question, so that's the motive, Dr. Hines. They have no intentions of following through with their promises. It's a gimmick. It's for optics to let people say, well, okay, we're all together. This one, all of this goes back to, this one Guyana scheme. That's what this is about. It's a hoax to say we have this one Guyana. But I mean, look at the everyday things. They're not even allowing motions to go into parliament. Even the parliament where things are supposed to be open, and you accommodate all the discussions and issues. Even there, the opposition can't even get the motion through. Look at those committees that they've had, such as the procurement committee. How often are they meeting? I mean, they really don't care, and that's the frustrating part of it. They really don't care, and so look at some of the things that they're doing. Police, this guy, he creates problems. He reminds me so much about Trump, like Trump. They create a problem, and then they blame it on everybody else, or they come up with some Mickey Mouse solution type of thing. Look at this police thing. They doubled down, as when I remember when they put those police title on the car, and now he's throwing the police under the bus, and then under the bus he threw the poor guy with the $214 million at the Ministry of Natural Resources under the bus. Everybody but that's how the guys operate. But I had no confidence, Dr. Hines. I knew it was a good. It was a good. It was done in good faith on the part of the opposition. It was the right thing to do. But this is not surprising me, Dr. Hines. Their motive overrides all of that. This is just a gimmick for this one Guyana appearance.
Yes. And of course, the one Guyana is one unequal Guyana.
One unequal Guyana. That is correct.
Because here we are with oil wealth.
Yeah.
And in any society, each group is going to make demands on government for access to those resources. The question is that our ethnic groups in the country are at different stages of economic wherewithal. And so those that are better equipped to take advantage of the resources are the ones who are going to benefit more.
Absolutely.
And so they want a one Guyana with the unevenness. And what we are saying is that, no, let us make everybody even, equitable. All right? Yeah. If you there and I at the back here, make sure that when we going through the door, all of we going through together.
That's right.
Don't say because you there, you going through and I there, and then tell me we are one Guyana. We are not one Guyana.
Nope.
We can only be one Guyana when we have equitable access to the resources of Guyana. And that's what we are talking about. And that is ethnically, but it's also class.
Yes.
Because, of course, the business class and so on, they are the ones who have the financial wherewithal to take advantage and so on and so forth. So we have the class issue. What are you doing for the working class?
Yes.
To make sure, yes, the working class don't have money to invest in oil blocks. But how are you going to ensure that those who have the money to invest, that the working class gets as much as them out of the process?
Yes.
Where are your policies? While we're on that, my brother, we had the announcement of the awarding of the blocks from the recent bidding process. And we notice that we have a company, CISPRO, of 4 African Guyanese women. Then we have another company of 2 African Guyanese people, although one, it seems like they're husband and wife, and that they have been awarding bids. And already people are beginning to speculate. Now, my first response was, it's great to see 4 African Guyanese women being awarded an oil block. It's great to see that because that's what we are fighting for. If Jack Dior and the PPP have decided to award blocks to African Guyanese, they are correcting a wrong that we have pointed out. Brother Nigel Hughes was able to point out the obvious and get Jack Dior to admit the obvious, that none of the oil blocks to date has been owned by African Guyanese. Nigel pointed it out, Jack Dior admitted. So if Jack Dior moves now and say, we are awarding 2 blocks to African Guyanese, he is not the one to take credit for it. It's Nigel Hughes and Vince Adams and David Hines and Rickford Burke and all the rest of us who have been saying there is discrimination, there is unevenness. And we are the ones who made it possible. And the government is not going to say, we did this because of the pressure from the fringe elements. Right? We have to point out to him that we are the ones that made them move. So far, so good. But we need to know more about these companies. And it's good to say you award them an oil block, but you know it takes billions of dollars, US dollars, to get the equipment and all that other thing to work the blocks.
Yes.
Do you share my view that, first of all, it is we on the opposition side who made it possible? And second, that the government ought not to put a feather in its cap yet, because this is just the first step in a long process. Talk to us.
Oh, without question, and you know, look at the bigger picture too. Is this fact-finding mission? And I remember, by the way, Dr. Hines, I remember when we had our pre-session before we went up on the hill. You were the one who came up with this idea of a fact-finding mission, as I recall. Yes. And I jumped in it immediately. I said, oh, yes absolutely. That's right. But so here's this fact-finding mission, but somehow you would think that if they would genuinely believe that, well, okay, we're really doing everything that we should be doing, there is nothing to fear. Why are they behaving so nervous? You know, if I have nothing to hide and I am happy that they, you know, you guys are full of nonsense. You Dr. Hines and Dr. Adams and Rickford Burke and all you guys, you're full of nonsense. Well, I would not be afraid of somebody coming in and making those fringe elements look bad. But we're seeing the opposite. Now the man is abusing down. The man is using down these honorable people who are coming in to do a fair and just assessment. Now, in terms of the oil blocks, and you were absolutely correct. I was elated when I saw the 4 women. As a matter of fact, there's a 5th lady that was announced there. She used to be one of my environmental directors at EPA that they got rid of after I left. One of my best employees. They got rid of a lot of, you remember I told you the senior black staff at the EPA, they got rid of them. Well, this lady was one of those. So I was so happy when I saw that. And I felt really proud. But, so I was bragging about it until, I got a little bit discouraged at an article that I saw that this lady, and I can't, forgive me for the head of the 4-woman group, and she made a comment on entrepreneurship group that basically that blacks should stop complaining and get on board and work hard, and we're gonna get there. So those are the kinds of things that worries me. And then I heard that she was been making those type of comments before she got the block. So now it's a little bit concerning, or kind of worried. Well, okay, how were these blocks awarded, and who may be behind it? Is this really political? Again, getting back, is only certain blacks who are getting things like contracts and the few as a token. I'm not calling her a token, or all I'm saying is that their strategy, as part of their strategy, to give a few blacks contracts here and there. And now the big thing is the oil blacks. or black. And then when you research the person that you've been, boasting about and feeling good about, then you see this type of thing when people like you and I are fighting for, we understand the disadvantage that we grew up with. And now you're telling us because somehow you've aspired to where you got, and maybe you enjoying a certain social status, and people, you're telling the poor people who do not have any resources whatsoever, who are struggling at the bottom, somehow they've got to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. That's basically what she said, which was really, of course, it goes counter to my beliefs and my values. So when I see that, it's kind of disconcerting for me, Dr. Hines. But I still wish them well, and I hope that that's not the case. I hope that my suspicion is is misguided, but or misinformed. But the thing is, I've gotten to the state, Dr. Hines, where it's difficult for me to trust anything that this government does. And it's basically because it comes from data. The data that we talked about, with Nigel Hughes and what we're seeing on a daily basis. Look at the contract with this guy. What's his name again? The guy there. Critics. Look at that contract. And then I won't even get into that, to what the vice president said in his thing about him and the data. They still can't show the information, and then he come up with all kinds of stuff. Anti-tab that they should have called him the president. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? You could call the president to get So Dr. Hines, I wish them well, and I hope that they use that platform where they're going to really lift other blacks up, to make sure that other blacks get the opportunity. So that's what I'm hoping that they lead the way and provide a path for other black folks to move up.
Yeah, Dr. Adams, I said if I can forgive the PPP for everything, there is one thing I will not forgive them for. And that is the way in which they take good people, Amerindian people, good black people, and give them some things and force them to go against their own group.
Yeah.
I saw the comments by the sister, and I shook my head, because I'm saying, if those comments are true, that sister may feel that she had to make those comments because that is what the PPP would want her to say.
Yes.
And while we should criticize them for that, I save my fire for the PPP, because I think when you impoverish people, push them to the margins, and then use the power of the state to give them a little lift, and then you ask them, in return for this lift, I want you to condemn your own race.
Yeah.
I think that is the hilt of sin, political sin. And I will never forgive the PPP for that.
Absolutely.
But I want, as you've said, I want to go on record here that the two companies of African Guyanese people who have been awarded the blocks, we congratulate them. And we want to say to them, be conscious enough to know that you didn't get it because manna fell from heaven. You got it because other people put their heads on the block, risk their lives, risk their liberty, because the PPP has shown that it wants to lock up Richard Burke, it lock up Ogunse, and it is we who have argued that this is an apartheid arrangement, and they are responding to us, and you are the recipient.
Yeah.
Go well, do well, I want to see black millionaires. Plenty. I want to see many more African Guyanese millionaires. But I don't want to see millionaires and billionaires who, in exchange for those millions and billions, will throw black people's dignity under the bus. Martin Carter says, the mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. And I'm saying to these brothers and sisters, do not allow your mouth to be muzzled by the food you eat, because that food you're eating is as a result of the struggles of ordinary people, some who you never know. You don't know Brenda Casey. You don't know Isola Allen. You don't know these sisters and brothers who are here tonight, witnessing, as Burnham used to say, watch with me one more night.
Yeah.
These people come out every night here and watch with us and make it possible for you to get food in the form of oil blocks and contracts. Do not throw them under the bus. And that is my plea here tonight. Walk good, but make sure that you don't crush your people as you go along. And I hope what I'm saying here tonight is taken loud and clear to them and to all other recipients of contracts and other such things from the state. I know at least one or two of the ladies there personally. And like I said, I wish them well. And I want us to wish them well. But I want them to do well by us. By us, I mean the ordinary people who come out here every night in the rain, because leaving their husband dinners and so on. When I was in Washington, D.C. the other day, the women, they complaining that they can't get the men for carry out trash from 7 o'clock in the night. They can't get them to get up to even eat their dinner because those men are stuck to these computers, staying with us every night. They're in the rain. They're in the rain, not physical rain, but they're out there batting for their country and batting for the people and batting for more contracts for black folk and brown folk, Amerindian folk, and poor Indian people.
I express the same. I wish I expressed the same sentiments. That I couldn't say it any better. And I, of course, I feel as if I'm not personally attached with this young lady. I think she's the chief environmental person on the, for the company. If I'm allowed to give her a shout out, my, Candace Thompson, she's also a Londoner.
Okay.
So one of the most competent young ladies that I had the opportunity to work with. So I'm rooting for her, obviously, and I'm rooting for this company. However, at the same time, I know that you and I are going to be watching. It's not, because we're going to be expecting that here, that we've got a company now that has the platform, to reach out with that hand and lift up folks who are waiting to get that hand to lift them up. So we're rooting for them and we wish them well. But I'm like you, it's this government and the way that they operate. But all the very best to the companies.
All the very, very best to the companies. My brother, we didn't get a chance to talk about the ring fencing.
Yeah.
And that debate has been raging. What's your stance on ring fencing?
Well, no, absolutely. And I hear there's no justification for not having ring fencing, to be honest. The only party that this is helping is the company. And let me tell you why. And when I hear this thing about ring fencing, well, of course, ring fencing of, each project has a fence around it. Expenses stay within that fence, profits stay within that fence. In our very case, we may have been finished paying off for Lisa 1 and Lisa 2. I don't know the numbers because we're not getting data, which means we would have been really getting that 50% that would be going into cost oil. Now, here is why I say, Dr. Hines, there's no way that it should not be benefiting us. Because the one thing it does, and then I hear, well, if we take it early, even if we don't take it early, we're going to get it late. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because if you get your money early, then you invest it. Right now, you have a country that is basically starving, especially the poor folks. We need medical. We have a lot of medical facilities. We should be investing in agriculture, infrastructure, national security. If you get that money up front and you invest it, there's no better investment today. That money that is deferred payment. And I don't know what the oil prices is gonna be many years. When I was in the oil industry, Dr. Hine, I remember we were spending like drunken sailors when oil was about $150 a barrel, and we were predicting it was gonna go to $200 a barrel. You know what happened? Within a year or so, it dived to like $10 a barrel. So I don't know what that price is going to be. And those companies, when it becomes uneconomic, I don't think that we're going to get there. Then they stop producing, because they're not going to produce all that is unprofitable. So, and then the other thing is, when you defer that money, you're putting it at risk. And like I said, you don't know how much you're getting. So the best, it's also tied to this sovereign wealth fund. You, Dr. Hines, I'm sure you can go and invest money if you don't have food on the table, or you don't have a shelter. The money that you invest is the excess that you have when you paid for that. And then you hear, well, every time I bring up this argument, well, look at Norway. Norway did not establish a sovereign wealth fund until after 20 years of production, when they became rich, and then they could invest. And then on top of that, who knows what the world banking system is going to be. We saw what happened in 2008. And if you're taking our money to invest it, who knows, we might lose everything. And then in addition to that, Dr. Hines, with this ring fencing stuff, let's say you have a major spill, right? You have a major spill, and right now we don't have anything to cover that spill, because you remember this whole case with this unlimited liability coverage that they're fighting. Jagdio and them are fighting with Exxon. If you have a major spill and there's no cleanup, and Exxon decides to walk away, remember now, British Petroleum was considering bankruptcy with the Macondo spill. British Petroleum was considering bankruptcy, and they got bailed out somehow. So let's say this is a major spill, and they're doing everything to cause a major spill, like producing above the safe operating limit. That's and that could enhance the spill. So if you got a major spill and Exxon decide to walk, what happened to all that money, ring fencing and stuff? Doesn't matter. Give me my money up front and let me decide what I want to do with. Let me invest in my people education, agriculture, things that could sustain, when oil is gone after 20, 30 years. Don't keep my money and I may never get it. That's so ring fencing. It the only entity or partner that is benefit. It's the operators, not the government. There's no question about it.
There's no question about it. Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight, weighing in on everything political and economics. The two, of course, go hand in hand. And we have been talking about a range of issues here tonight, as we tend to do when we come on to this program. We not only give you red meat, we also give you some real lean meat that is good for your health. And that is the intellectual richness that goes into creating our consciousness of ourselves, our condition, and how we see the world. We are socializing ourselves here to make Guyana an equitable place, a place where all of its citizens, regardless of their ethnic and social background, can benefit from our country. My brother, your closing thoughts.
Well, it was nice once again, Dr. Hines, to be chatting with you and the audience. It's more than the two of us. I like that, that expansion of the even though they're not interacting with us, but we feel as if they were interacting.
Yes.
um
Yes.
no, but I think we're at the our biggest concern should be, folks, is this whole Venezuela issues. It has a lot of repercussions. Now, I personally do not believe that we're gonna get any invasion because of some dynamics with Chevron and Exxon operating in both sides, and America opening up Venezuela. I don't believe that's gonna happen. But then on in the other political side, the local politics, I'm really concerned where this PPPC government is going. They want to hold on to power at any cost, and they're taking this opportunity for everything that they're doing to hold on to power. And if they were going to hold on to power, Dr. Hines, and you would have seen it helping the folks who need the help. If they were doing that, help, a lot of us might have said, hey, you know what? Let them go as long as they're helping the country. But that's not what they're doing. They're holding on to power to help their friends, family, and favorites. Maybe a 1%. They're helping, and they don't care a damn about the people and the rest of the country that really needs that help. That is the issue. So this whole Venezuela thing here, it's a serious matter with our internal politics, and we can see it. It's as clear as crystal. And when I listened to the vice president yesterday, he was making a case for it. He was making a case for it. So I think that our population should be paying attention and don't just let it slide like this. We need to be put. The only thing that, as we can see, Doctor, the only thing that this government understand is pressure, and heavy pressure. That's the only thing that they understand.
That's the only thing they understand. My brother, Dr. Vincent Adams, thank you very much for coming through again with us. See you next week.
Definitely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And to all of you, the love that flows from this side is the real deal. It's true love. And it's a love that comes from a place of compassion, but comes from a place of brotherhood and sisterhood. You can't, in this great future, you can't forget your history. Brother Bob Marley, in this great future, you can't forget your history. We have a great future in front of us. But where we come from matters. Those who are still struggling every day to put food on the table, those who have to spend 5 cents, $5, $500, $5,000 when the bill is really $15,000. They have to do magic. They have to turn $5,000 into $15,000. I often say the best economists are the housewives and house husbands. And they still populate our Guyana. 50% of our people live below the poverty line. They matter. They matter. They matter. Thanks for staying with us another night. Good evening, Isola Allen. I think you're a Victoria woman. I think so. To good people of Victoria, our first village. Good evening to you all. And as we go into the weekend, let us take with us that spirit as we look what's happening in Gaza right now and the crushing of human beings. I don't care whether you're pro-Israeli or what you are. There is no justification. There is no justification for the wanton destruction of human lives. It's unconscionable. And as a Guyanese, I want to draw the lessons. That is an ethnic conflict over land. We are ethnic groups in Guyana, and we have oil and gas wealth. Let us pray for ourselves, but the best thing we can do is to work to keep that evil away from the doorsteps of our country. We don't want to go there. We are in a neighborhood that is geopolitically sensitive too. We live in a country in which the oil find is enormous. Our neighbor that is making claim to our country as the greatest, largest oil reserves. We too live in a geopolitical neighborhood. Hinta Beniba, Mekwashiba take notice. The apartheid order that is at the center of what's going on in that part of the world is raising its head in Guyana. And there are those in power who are trying to hoodwink us and to tell us what we see is not what we see, and what we know is not what we know. Yes, they will put us and push us to what they call the fringe. But we know we are not at the fringe of the hearts and the souls of all you ordinary working people who get up every day and make the world turn over. We are not on the fringe of your minds and your hearts. We're at the center. We know that because we come from your womb. We come from deep within your Guyanese belly, to quote our Caribbean David Rudder, who said it comes from deep within our Caribbean belly. We come from deep within our Guyanese belly, whether it's in Christiansburg, or Bottom Station, Buxton, or Denamstel, or Enmore, or Enterprise, or whether we are in Union under Quarantine, or Bartica, there, the gateway of our hinterland. Wherever we come from, Queenstown, Danielstown, and the Essequibo Coast, we are human beings. And when we wake up in the morning, we prepare ourselves to sell our labor so that we can put food on the table for our children. We can recreate ourselves in our children and to make them a better specimen. Where we did not grace the walls of a university, we have always wanted our children to do so. Where we were carpenters and masons and housewives that work for little or nothing, now we produce carpenters and masons and homemakers who can make much more than we did. We must strive to be a better country. But a better country has to be a country where all of us are seen as equal beings, not just equal in the face of God, but equal in the face of government. And at the center of that equalness is equitable access to our common resources. Some of us may have come earlier. Some of us may have worked for nothing. At the end of the day, we are all here. Happenstance, circumstance, call it what you may. But when we look over at our neighbors, we must not see mortal enemies. We must see sisters and brothers. Yes, your car may be a shinier version than my car. Yes, your house may be 5 stories and mine may be just 1 story. But at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We're all human beings. And all I ask for is to let my people go. And my people can be poor people, village people, Black people, Caribbean people, brown people. I'm not wedded to one identity, neither we should be wedded to one identity. We are people of multiple identities. My brother who was here just now is what we call a Douglas. But we cry for those who are being crushed by the stampede of those who illegitimately hold on to the power that was granted by the sacrifices of those whose names we may not remember today, but we must call their name. We must call their name. When we say Kofi and Accra, we mean not those individuals alone, but we mean all of those who toiled on that plantation. And when the plantation gates were open, they created the bongyards for our sisters and brothers from India. They came, and they too had a smell, or more than a smell, of the burning skins of the plantation. Oh yes. And so today, here we are in our Guyana. Here we are in our Guyana. We are not enemies. We are not historical enemies. Africans did not enslave Indians. Indians did not enslave Africans. We are not historical enemies. We carry out our fight because of some leaders, as if we are historical enemies, but we are not. And so when I wear my dashiki and I say kwaheri, do not believe that I am your enemy. I am merely calling on my God, the African God. I'm merely calling the memories of my ancestors and asking them to lift me and lift us so that the Ganges can meet the Nile. Only then can we say we are one Guyana. When the waters of Babylon, where we sat down and where we wept, when we remembered Africa. Let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight tonight and every night. Have a wonderful weekend. Do your thing. Kick back a little bit. Take a little tooks. But remember, the struggle is permanent because life goes on. Love, love, love.